01 on a Wednesday morning. It is September the 14th. I'm first warning meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather, and things are getting busy, my friends. There are two big stories that we are tracking. First off, as you would imagine, we have showers and thunder showers in the forecast. We'll be tracking it all for you. Plus, trouble in the tropics. We've got a developing system, and the National Hurricane Center just putting out some new information. We will have the latest numbers for you coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. But let's look outside. It is stunning as we peek out over our tower cam perspective. This is a shot from the World Center, Lake Bryan there on the left side. We're looking kind of off toward Little Lake Bryan even. That's where, if you're a Disney cast member, you know a thing or two about the Mickey's Retreat. And if you don't, it's cool. It's a little benefit to cast members. Kind of neat stuff. All right, let's talk temperatures outside. It is low to mid 70s. Meanwhile, our friends just north of us are enjoying fall weather. First warning live Doppler radar scanning around, finding some showers and thunder showers off the coast of the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. There were some decent storms yesterday, right? And even this morning, even when I was taking my kids to daycare this morning, it was this cluster of thunderstorm action that was producing quite a bit of lightning, and we could see it off on the horizon. So the good news is it's not really moving ashore, not bothering anybody, but it's there. So just to let you know if that's what you're seeing on the horizon. As far as the forecast goes today, we are going to climb temperatures into the mid-80s by 11 o'clock, 90 degrees by 1, and notice we're building to that 60, even in some cases 70% coverage of showers and thunder showers. So lots of energy around. It's going to be a stormy forecast for us this afternoon. This morning, while we are seeing lightning on the horizon, thankfully that's not bothering us, okay? So it's just kind of there, not a big concern. In terms of temperatures today, and while we're talking local forecast, I do want to spend a little extra time on the tropics today, so just a heads up on that. 92 today in the city, average high is 90, so we're going to be above average. 90 degrees back over to Leesburg, 87 for us in Ocala, 89 in Palm Coast. Here's Futurecast. This morning we're good. You can see those storms off of the East Coast though, right? That's where they will stay through lunchtime. Then after lunchtime, we'll start to popcorn up the showers and thunder showers. It's going to turn quite active. There's 2 p.m. from about Orlando off to the east. Getting even stormier by 4. That's when the daytime heating mixes with the atmospheric energy, and we have the opportunity to get some of those stronger storms. And then look how boom goes the dynamite out west. 5:30, 6 o'clock. The I-75 corridor starts to show those vibrant yellows, oranges, and reds. Thus, we're going to be talking about the stronger storms moving out west, and then gradually things fade through 8 o'clock. Did scrub yesterday's SpaceX launch because of weather. Today, weather not looking much better, as a matter of fact. It's a little bit earlier. Now, granted, most of the energy does start moving out west late in the day, but it's the cloud cover and the overall static charge, right? 9:48 is the launch window for tonight's Falcon 9. This is a Starlink mission, and I know that they seemingly run routine, but they're still really incredible when you think about people getting internet across the globe, and almost all of that is emanating from our space coast. 50% chance of good weather. It's going to be a game time decision, so we'll have to watch and wait and see how that plays out, okay? All right, overall perspective for us continues to be dominated by this pesky cold front, bringing milder air to much of the deep south. Dew point temperatures are in the 50s from Charlotte through Atlanta and even into Mississippi, Alabama. They're enjoying this little taste of fall. For us, not so much. We're kind of watching a little storm system off of our east coast. It's going to help to turn the winds around just enough to bring temperature highs from the lower 90s to the upper 80s. So it's going to be like that. You're going to barely see it, but there's going to be a subtle adjustment, all right? And then, of course, through late week into the weekend, you know, it's kind of running that gamut. So not much of a change here. We're really not talking about a big adjustment in our temperatures, unfortunately. Yeah. So here's the 7-day forecast, just to put it all out on the table, right? Yeah, from 92 today to 89 on Friday. That's That's nothing. That's nothing. I mean, I could hype it and say that that's a cold front, but it's not. It's nothing. Oh well, right? Doesn't seem to be again. Oh, for the chats. I can see everybody's chat, at least from my perspective. So at least there's that. Kenneth, good morning to you. Nikki, trying this again for my iPad to see if comments will work. Still not working. My apologies. Good morning to y'all. Takashi, good morning. How are ya? Tina, looks like, yeah. Oh, well. Susie, good morning to you. Rosebud, why don't they launch in the morning when the sun is out? So you have to think about more than just what happens here, though, right? Because once it gets into space, it has to hit the correct inclination. It has to hit the correct orbit. And so there's only certain windows when the Earth isn't, there's only certain windows in the day when you've got that kind of right angle to be able to get that perfect orbital insertion. So that's why there are specific launch windows. And that's okay. We have dealt with this for decades and decades and decades here along the Space Coast. It's just what it is. So, yeah, it's just the way that it works. And we'll eventually get good weather. That's okay. Hey, at the end of the day, because of the way that we are located with the ocean to our east, we are the prime area for launching. And if weather holds up, great. If weather doesn't hold up, you just try again another time, right? I apologize that your comments aren't working. I can at least see your comments, so at least there's that. Susie, good morning to you. Angie, William, Betty, good morning, good morning. Let's get to the tropics, Tom says. All right. Any other questions locally before we get to the tropics? We're going to talk a lot about it because over the next few days, you're going to be hearing a lot about it. Standard orbital approach, Mr. Sulu. That's right, Yukon. You got it. You got it. Oh, well. Traveling to San Juan on Saturday in the morning. How's it looking this weekend? Angie, that's going to be directly tied to the tropics. So, all right, let's get to the tropics, shall we? Let's talk about it. This is Invest 96. Overnight, it started seemingly undergoing tropical cyclone genesis, okay? In other words, it started to not just be an unorganized area of moisture, it started to organize. It started to put itself together, and it looks like it is starting to become a tropical depression. With that said, the brand new data from the National Hurricane Center has a high likelihood of this becoming a tropical depression, tropical storm, that sort of thing. They upped their numbers from 50% over 5 days, 40% over 2 days, to 70% over 2 days and 5 days. Only a slight increase in overall organization would yield this to become a tropical depression. So we're just about there, okay? You can see its path does take it off toward the northern Caribbean islands, Puerto Rico, all of that, right? So obviously when we're talking about the Puerto Rico forecast, this plays in. All right, now let's talk computer models on this thing, okay? Here's the stuff, the spaghetti models, this time of year. What's interesting is that, they're very tightly together through about Puerto Rico, right? So what we can tell is that the Caribbean islands, as they stand, probably going to start to get some kind of crummier-ish weather, some rain, some cloud cover, that sort of thing. Right, we'll just zoom this in a little bit, and you can see the Virgin Islands, both the British and the United States Virgin Islands, the Northern Islands. From there, the computer models start to adjust their paths. They don't know quite what to do. We know that it's going to start to turn right. It's going to start to want to recurve. That exact timing does have us in question. Now, before we get any further, I'm going to show you all the data. Yesterday, there was some discussion on the ABEAR box. So let's talk a little bit more about the ABEAR box, okay? First off, there's the storm system. There are two boxes that the forecaster by the name of ABEAR found. And what he found is that of these two boxes, if tropical systems developed or moved through these boxes, what he found is that most of the hurricanes that hit South Florida moved through one of these boxes, okay? So obviously what I've done is I've put the computer model data over the ABEAR box, and you can see this is going to be moving through A-Bear box number 1. Okay? And that said, at least fundamentally, this is something we're going to want to watch. Now, typically that does lean to South Florida, but you know, the A-Bear box, while it's not a perfect science, certainly is not a perfect science. It's just one of those things, it should raise your antenna just a little bit, okay? So the idea is that many storms that have crossed the boxes strike Florida. Charlie, Francis, Wilma, and Irma were among the storms that moved through the A-Bear boxes. Dorian stayed off the shoreline, though, but it crossed an A-Bear box. So, you know, when using tools and kind of, you know, I always love the non-conventional methods, and Mike had mentioned it yesterday, so we were like, well, we'll put a graphic together and talk a little bit about it. Yukon, Tony mentioned the box at the 6 p.m. broadcast. That's because I got the graphic done for the 6 p.m. broadcast. But yes, so it's not a perfect science, but it's just another indication, right? Aaron's asking, is this the Florester? It could be. How strong is anyone's guess? Yeah, I was just talking to a friend of mine this morning about the Florester. Is this the Florester? I think that it is the Florester. It certainly is timing out that way. So, you know, we'll see. But at the very least, it's something to watch, right? And that's kind of the take. I hope that that's the key takeaway that you have. It's just something to watch and not really much more. And just so that you know, I'm going to be tweeting after Coffee Talk. I'm going to be tweeting more on the A-Bear box so that you can kind of see more on that. But at any rate, it's an interesting little dynamic there, right? All right, so let's talk raw models. Okay, so we know that the intensity models are, well, actually, I didn't even show the intensity model. See, this is why I need to drink more coffee. Hold on. Stand by a second. Let me type the word intensity into the computer. Tropical intensity. All right, here's the intensity models, lest I forget to share them. Oh, interesting. I'll have to check my product. Seemingly there's an issue there. Okay, so cool. Love it when there's an issue that I have to go fix on my half day off. All right. Tropics, let's do that. All right. Well, I can at least show you here. I'll pull up the intensity plots elsewhere. It's not going to be as pretty as I would like, but... Oh, well, there's that. There's the early intensity. So that's what I'm plotting, obviously. We can look at the late intensity. Interesting. Well, why are the other models not running? Okay. Well, I'll have to figure that one out. All right. It's another thing to figure out. All right, but what we can do, we can at least look at computer model data, right? So this is the 6Z run of the GFS. And let's see what it's doing. And then, of course, we're going to check in on the ensembles as well. So, all right, let's run this through time. And there it is on the bottom right corner of your screen, approaching the Caribbean Islands. That's 18Z on Friday, right? So you're talking 2 p.m. on Friday. It's approaching the Caribbean Islands. The GFS does cross it into the Caribbean Saturday morning, bringing it right up to Puerto Rico Saturday night. That's 11 p.m. Saturday night. Technically, it's 3Z Sunday. So I forget who was asking about Puerto Rico this weekend. It's going to be a little wet. It's going to be a little wet. Tom's asking if there are any recon flights going in there soon. There are none scheduled for today. The plan for tomorrow comes out today shortly, though. So as that comes out, I will certainly let you know. But yeah, so there's Puerto Rico. That is late Saturday night. And there's moisture. A lot of moisture. Chris says, I'm not getting comments now. Good morning to anyone I missed. Well, yeah, comments may be broken, but I see the comments. So at the very least, we can enter it up. All right? All right, so we'll roll through time. And what's interesting is you see here, it stays weak on the GFS, kind of moves around Hispaniola and doesn't do much, and then perhaps tries to bubble up over Hispaniola. Right there, that's Wednesday, the 21st of September. It's kind of trying to deepen again out over the Bahamas, almost like a Dorian Matthew kind of idea, much weaker according to the GFS. And then lifting north, that's the 23rd, the 24th, and maybe recurving, approaching the Outer Banks. One model run, one model. Let's go back in time and just look at, that's the 6Z. Let's go to the 0Z model. Same kind of idea, except look, it's kind of like heading towards South Florida. Random. Let's go back 3 model runs ago. This is the 18Z. Recurving way out to sea. Let's go back to the 12Z. And it's kind of moving out into the, God knows what that is. That's a blob of low pressure. That's not a real scenario at all. Okay, so what is the only takeaway that I have from what we're looking at here? The GFS is thinking there's going to be an area low pressure entering into this like 1,000-mile block. I'm not saying it's hitting. I'm not saying it's not hitting us or anybody else. But the GFS is like sniffing something out, okay? Cool beans. Let's move over to the European and see what it's trying to throw together. All right, 6Z. Let's just roll through time. Remember, the 6Z only goes 90 hours out, but nevertheless, we'll show through the 90 hours. There it is. That's Friday, 11 a.m. That's Saturday at 2 a.m., right around Puerto Rico. So again, wet Saturday. That's as far out as the 6Z run goes, approaching the eastern tip there of Hispaniola. All right, let's switch over to the 0Z. That way we can at least continue on from there through 240 hours. So area of low pressure starting to lift north into the Turks and Caicos as a 1,002 millibar low. That's on Monday, September 19th at 2 p.m. Working and then kind of recurving. And then there's another low, the one back behind it, approaching but stronger. Okay, so that's the European. Let's go to the control on the ensemble, and that'll at least give us an idea. And then the European is recurving that one as well. So again, you know, like I was saying, there's no indication that it's hitting us or anybody else. It's just there's 2 models definitely kind of disagreeing with ideas. This is where we get to have some fun. We get to look now at the ensembles. What is the ensemble? For those of you that have not followed, think of what you're about to see as 50 versions of the GFS on top of each other. So you're going to see a bunch of dots. Don't look at them as, oh my God, there's a bunch of hurricanes or a bunch of tropical storms. Look at them as, oh, if they're spread apart, that means that the GFS has a lower confidence. If you see a bunch of them tied together, that gives you high confidence, okay? That's what these ensembles do. So let's run through time. And you could see that, Northern Caribbean islands, you've got a bunch of those lows together, right? So that gives us high confidence, bottom right corner of your screen. Rolling through time, though, notice they start to spread apart, right? GFS, most of them are recurving, but what's interesting is you even get kind of 2 camps, the recurving camp and then the developing in the Caribbean camp, right? And then from there, the recurves. The Caribbean development guys, though, seemingly want to come over Florida. You see that there? So what that would almost indicate to me is that you've got 2 ideas, the recurvature or the weakening and then redeveloping recurvature. That's what I'm seeing from the GFS ensembles. Okay? Yeah. Let's switch over to the European ensembles. Same idea. It's the European, just run 50 different ways, essentially. And you can see high confident. You can see those low members there, bottom right corner. They're moving through the Caribbean. Now, the European is a little bit more in the idea of, yeah, but see, even there, it develops some members out there in the Caribbean, spreads them out, and then eventually brings, it gets confused, right? There's like 50 lows spread across there. So the European is a lot less confident, seemingly. If we switch to this, sometimes this gives us a little bit of a better perspective. Let's just do it this way. It's just different ways to visualize the data. Think of it like you're looking at a sonogram and they keep hitting all those buttons. All right, so you've got that camp And then, yeah. So you've got the first camp of recurves, right? So they're all pretty close agreement through Puerto Rico through this weekend. Then you start to see them spreading out, and then a lot of them recurve. But then you start to get this other camp trying to like impact Florida or the Gulf Coast, right? So again, from what I'm seeing there, we haven't tied into any kind of a solution yet. So when you start to look online and you start to see people talking about tropical stuff, right? And they're like, it's coming here or it's not coming here. You don't know. You really don't know. Models do a horrific job forecasting on developing systems like this. So at this point of the game, what we're doing is we're looking at model data, taking it into account, but we also have to use our noggin. We have to use what we know climatologically to play out, what is normal, that sort of things, right? So, you know, don't trust models too much. I'm going to be posting them because I want to give you full transparency, but, you know, don't worry too much about it. Seriously, don't worry too much about it. Chris says, so you're saying I should stay away from Central Florida? Not saying that. Not saying that at all. Daughters in Puerto Rico. Beth, you know, it looks to be pretty weak as it approaches Puerto Rico. You know, let's look and see what the rainfall numbers look like. Give me a few seconds to get this turned around. Do that. Let's see here. Oceanic, Puerto Rico. Give me a second. There should be a Puerto Rico view. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So there's Puerto Rico. Let's do precipitation total. Yeah. So through next week, you're looking at 3. Yeah. I mean, the GFS is only going like 3, you know, nearly 4 inches of rain from it. So the bigger concern on Puerto Rico to me, that's the GFS. If we look at the European, the bigger concern when it comes to rainfall for me is just like a rapid rainfall. It's not necessarily like widespread flooding, but like a mudslide scenario in Puerto Rico. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at regarding this. But, you know, I'm not worried. You should not be worried. It's just one of those things that we're going to be watching. And that's basically it. You know what I mean? Okay. Is a blob of low pressure a meteorological term? It's one that I use. But I'm a little off the beaten path when it comes to it. What about the CMC ensembles? Well, I mean, we can look at all of it. I don't know. Do I get... Here. We'll do this, and then we'll switch over to the... I don't use the Canadian much, but we can. Let's take a look. So you can kind of see it's also spreading apart from the Gulf of Mexico all the way to out east, right? And kind of a more of a push around Florida, but yeah. So that's the Canadian ensembles. Yeah, I don't use it much. It was so bad for so long that I've stopped using it. I probably, though, Mickey could and should start using it just to watch it. Yeah, 50 Shades of the Tropics, exactly right. Tom, also all these ensembles showing lows simply means wet weather, but not necessarily tropics. Well, what it's showing, yeah, is just a low. Low pressure could be anything. It could, you know, rainy days are low pressure. But, you know, it's definitely something to watch. We're entering into a new LRC cycle here the next few weeks. And so this is the last piece of the current LRC cycle. Yeah. All right. What is behind it on the screen, or is that part of the system? It's at the moment there's nothing. Yeah, at the moment there's nothing that's of note back behind it. Yeah, there's a couple of waves, but nothing that's trying to develop. Yeah, so for now, nothing of note. I read something about a thought of a trough of pressure coming down through the southeast that could potentially trap the storm or affect where it could recurve. Yeah, Kyle, essentially it's, a cold front, which this would remind me of like Hurricane Charlie, because Hurricane Charlie or Wilma, they all got trapped in the Gulf and recurved. If it moves that far west, that becomes a concern. Yeah, all right. When will the next update come in? So we did get an update at 8 o'clock. So the next update from the National Hurricane Center will be out at 2 p.m. The 2 p.m. Tropical Weather Outlook comes out. That's what this is called. The formal name for this is the Tropical Weather Outlook. Okay. But by 9, 10 o'clock today, we're going to get an update regarding the recon plan for the day. And that is kind of the next interesting piece of the puzzle is, do they plan on flying a recon mission out tomorrow to investigate? My gut would say that they would. They may wait another day, but my gut would say, yeah, they'll probably fly a mission in there tomorrow. I'll let you know when we find it out. Yeah. Brian, good morning. What are the water temps looking like in the Atlantic and the Gulf? Oh, they're plenty warm. They're plenty warm. Let me find that. I think it's this one. It's not going to look pretty. I'm not running. Yeah, I'm not running it through the Earth view, but at least you'll get the idea. Give me a second to get over here. Yeah, I mean where it's at right now. Let me stop the motion. Stop. All right, where it's at right now. Water temperatures are running 84 out ahead of it. Turn off that old tropical track layer because I don't know what storm that is. Off. Okay, all right. So it's over 84 degree water right now. Out ahead of it, 85. We get into the Caribbean here. And I got 87. So that's where, you're going to probably see some development is as it moves in that direction. Now, if it kind of heads a little further to the north, toward the Turks and the Caicos, it's still plenty warm. 80 degrees is the magic number when it comes to tropical development. Anything above 80 and you're fine. And we're certainly there. We get into bathwater into the Caribbean. But remember, sea surface temperatures are only one piece of the puzzle, right? So, something to keep in mind. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? That's where we're at right now. We are going to the Dominican Republic, 27th from Germany. Might have some trouble there on our way. By the 27th, I would say it's already done and over with, at least through there. Tom, hoping for the best, supposed to go on vacation September 22nd, and obviously any substantial storm would pose a problem. Yeah, at this point, there's no substantial storm, but it's something we're going to have to watch. Scott says, definitely looks like a center is trying to form. You can see some outflow. Well, and microwave passes recently this morning have been interesting. Microwave passes have been interesting. It's still elongated, but it's starting to seemingly undergo tropical cyclone genesis. All right. Christian, any storms for South Brevard today? Yeah, it looks like you'll probably get your storms firing up a little early, and then it all works off to the west. Is that satellite sensing of the water temperatures? It's various modeling using buoys and things like that. Arthur, if it hugs the Dominican Republic, we have Pico Duarte. Yes, yeah. Well, and that's always a big speed bump when it comes to tropical systems. Mountains of Hispaniola. Yeah. So you've got Pico Duarte is the bigger peak. I'm trying to think. I know that I made a graphic. I'm just looking. No, that's not it. I'm curious why mountains. The only thing I could think of is that this graphic was updated to show a particular mountain because of a particular storm. Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of is this graphic was updated to reference a particular mountain and a particular storm. But yes, Pico Duarte, is it 10,000? I thought it was 11,000 feet. At any rate, there are big elevation points through Hispaniola, and that would play in significantly. Patrick, where is the MJO in relation? Let's take a look. Madden-Julian oscillation tracks favorability for tropics, and it's kind of neutral right now, but we go more. Just follow through here. Yeah, you can see the Atlantic goes a little out of phase, but the Caribbean around the 20th goes into phase. Let me switch over to the Caribbean view. Caribbean. Oh, apparently that view is unavailable. All right, so you're just going to have to go with this one. But you can see the Caribbean starts to turn green around the 20th, so conditions will become more favorable for tropical development around the 20th. Yeah. So that's where we're at. Is we're not quite in phase right now, which is why, you know, things aren't popping. But you'll see around the 20th, you know, by 14, so like, you know, early to mid next week, that's when we'll probably start to see at least the Madden-Julian oscillation helping go into phase a little bit. Yeah. But again, you know, for me, it's just an interesting thing to watch. It's just an interesting thing to watch. A high likelihood, though, that this gets going one way, shape, or form. All right? Questions, comments, concerns? Anything? Christian continuously asks about storms in Brevard County. Yes, I said yes. You're going to get them a little early, and then they'll move inland. I apologize if I'm seeming to ignore you. I promise I'm not. But I'm talking tropics, so it's hard to like hard left-hand turn and hard right-hand turn. All right, anybody? Any questions, comments, concerns about this? Just a reminder again, we talked very briefly about it, but one thing to watch for what it's worth is that this system does look to head through the Hebert box. The Hebert box has been found through research to indicate, at the very least, that your antenna should be raised. Charlie, Francis, Wilma, Irma. The idea is that storms that go through the Hebert box through history have at least an inclination of liking Florida, which is one of those interesting things to watch. So there are two boxes out there. This is definitely going to be going through the first one. How strong is it? How weak is it? We'll have to wait and see, right? But that's what we got. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns? Is the BSR indicating anything else after this? For right now, no, but we'll continue to monitor it for sure. All right. Terry, have a great one. Nancy, have a good one. Be the sunshine in someone else's day, y'all. Take care. Thank you so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk. We'll be looking at the models and the data through the day. Be good.